It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago. Well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Sparrow.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
You are spying on me?
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed. Until you put an end to his mission.
Who was Fergal? I don't see him sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod, all muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed, ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
You do know I killed him.
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied Skulls in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Skulls.
I have met peaceful and wise Skulls. To exterminate them means we are no better than vampire hunters.
Skulls are hideous, shameful creatures that give all Ekon a bad name.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece, figuratively?
I feel like the newcomer, and I do not like it at all.
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah, vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret, shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Mr. Dawson, of Dawson and Dawson, the wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
What is the situation like in this part of town?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively than I.
What do you know about the Guard of Prewin?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reed.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan, then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
But that would segregate the rich from the poor, would it not? It would be unjust.
Our only course of action must be to save England. And to save England, we have to make sacrifices.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs. And it needs it now.
What is this new malevolence?
We'll talk later, Dr. Reed.
Skulls have been spotted everywhere in London. We are losing this fight.
How is your
I have a few...
All right.
May I ask you about the mortal who attended my initiation? Mr. Aloysius Dawson?
A member of the club does not normally ask questions about other members. We trust each other mutually.
So he really is a member, then?
Indeed. Only the most eminent members are allowed to attend such ceremonies. Even if I admit some of us fled during the first hours of the Great Hunt.
But Mr. Dawson is mortal. Are you not afraid he might reveal who you are? Especially to your enemies.
Aloysius Dawson is a man of his word, as are all of us. This is the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. We do not grant access to the unworthy.
What can you tell me about the Great Hunt?
It's a major concern, and I'm convinced we'll only get a satisfactory conclusion by putting an end to the epidemic.
I know we're facing a crisis, but I'm shocked no one took the time to clean up the mess inside the club since we were attacked. I must admit the guard of Pre went impressed.
I have already met Geoffrey McCullum. I am certain he will persist until he has killed every last vampire.
The Guard's current successful recruitment campaign is driven by the ravenous behavior of the Skulls.
I see. So without the epidemic creating Skulls, the Guard could not convince anybody of our presence.
Exactly. Once we have put the epidemic behind us, we need only wait until the Guard grows old and weak. Time will once again become our ally.
What about the risk of a full-scale attack here? Geoffrey McCullum is a daring leader.
That is exactly why so many of our number have left the country until things improve. But not me. I founded this club. I'll die defending it.
You made me swear on the blood of William Marshall during my initiation ceremony. Why was that?
William Marshall was the most glorious knight who ever lived. He served 5 kings, and was a living example of probity for all. And he was my maker.
William Marshall was a vampire? Is this some sort of joke? Wait. Could he be my maker?
That would be joyful news, for it would mean he still walks among us. But alas, the great knight has left this world for good.
Why is his blood so sacred to the Ascalon Club?
He was simply the greatest defender of the realm we have ever known. I fought by his side at the Battle of Preston, and he made me his progeny following the fight.
Goodbye, Lord Redgrave.
Godspeed, Dr. Reed. We are counting on you.
I think Lord Redgrave just suggested I was sired by an ancient vampire.
Women of all countries unite! Support the equality between men.
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaney's. A nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Goodbye, Sharp.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Hello again, Venus.
Jonathan, you're still up. Can't you just knock at people's doors during the day?
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan. Feared the worst.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
Why do you and your husband argue so much?
He is not the kind man I married and loved. He is obsessed now. Obsessed with chimeras. I feel trapped. It just makes me want to scream.
Why are you poisoning your husband?
He has spent a fortune printing his bloody papers. I can't stand this nightmare anymore. We are the butt of everyone's jokes since he returned.
If you're so frustrated by Clarence's behavior, why don't you just leave him?
I have already lost the best years of my life because of him. I will not jeopardize my future for some lunatic. He goes, and I inherit what's left.
I cannot let you kill your husband, Venus. This madness is more insane than his obsession.
What are you going to do? Report me to the police? I did my research too, Dr. Reed. The substance I use is undetectable.
Don't press your luck.
And did you see Clarence's state of mind? What would become of him if left alone?
Do you need my medical...
No, thank...
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences for your sister.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden. and I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
The McPhersons. I heard they locked themselves in their own house.
They could just be afraid of getting sick.
Perhaps you're right. But if I were you, I'd pay them a visit. A big house, reachable through a courtyard, to the north of the railway bridge.
Goodbye for now.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
It's locked, all right. No invitation is needed to enter this building. That can't be a good sign. No sign of a struggle. It seems Charlotte's friend knew the killer and let him in. Emily wanted to become a vampire. Something must have gone wrong. Someone is responsible for this mess. But who? blood. I should follow the trail.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I appreciate the invitation, but I'm here to solve the mystery concerning the death of a young woman killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
You're French, but your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world. So many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
What are you doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate, yet intense spectacle.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
I have been a totally depraved and immoral creature since the day I was reborn, sir. And probably before.
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure. Take pictures. Enjoy the show. Have fun. Believe me, I won't be the only foreign immortal who bought a ticket to the fair.
I followed the trail of blood from her room to here.
Oh, you're referring to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last redingote.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
The body rejected my blood. It happens, you know, sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
I believe you, sir. Emily's diary confirms your statement.
Oh, Emily was her name. Quite charming. Well, mystery solved then.
Yes, I suppose so. You can go.
And so can you. Farewell, sir. May you enjoy the spectacle of this fallen city as
much as I do.
Good evening, old chap. Are you all right?
I won't lie to you, Johnny. I'm not a well man.
Do you need medical assistance, Clarence?
It's a little late for visiting hours, don't you think?
I will see you later. Venus,
Why would you?
Venus is poisoning you, Clarence. She wants you dead.
So she really hates me that much now. My poor wife. I had no idea my research would drive her to such extremes.
I'm sorry, Clarence.
Why would you tell me that? First you returned from the dead, and now you tell me my wife is trying to murder me.
You're a stupid bastard, but you're my friend, Clarence. And I don't have many left. I don't want you to die. Not like that.
But I love her. I love my wife. Did I make her suffer that much? Have I become such a burden?
How is your wife?
We've spent...
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Can you help me?
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Mullaneys...
Yes? What about the Mullaneys? What about their house?
Not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement. Closed doors. What is going on in there? I wonder.
I'm
infected.
Yes?
Not enough.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep. Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I have found out what happened to your friend, Emily.
I can handle the truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not survive the process.
My mother told me many times about the risks of being turned. I often suspected she exaggerated the danger to avoid me being tempted.
No, the risk is real. Have you any idea what a body has to endure? to become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process and recombine blood.
I should never have talked to Emily about vampires. I never thought she'd actually try it without me. Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
I'm investigating. Where is it?
It's the Mullaney's, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Goodbye, Charlotte.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.